Good afternoon. My name is Talia. Today I'm going to teach you a very vital tool that can either make or break the most important business deals that your future companies will make. So imagine for a moment you working at a company and you happen to be responsible for expanding your company's influence by 7,000 miles, tacking on an extra $3 million to your company's annual income, and gaining publicity that reaches over 30 different countries. Okay, pretty big deal. Now imagine being the one responsible for losing that deal. It's kind of hard to keep a job after something like that. The difference between the two scenarios actually does not lie in the actual business agenda, but rather in your etiquette. So today I'm going to teach you, I'm going to make sure that when you do encounter an intercultural interaction, you know exactly what to do in order to handle it with respect. Does anyone have any experience with intercultural or cross-cultural interactions? You do. You've been in Mexico. Do you have any good or bad stories?
Yeah, I've been many places, but that's the one place that I go to a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, just as far as business-wise, a lot of people may not know, but back in, I want to say the 70s, they introduced a vehicle called, in the U.S., called the Chevy Nova. And then they tried to sell it in Latin American companies, and they tried to sell the Chevy Nova, which means doesn't go.
I heard about that.
And so big plug. So as simple as the words that we use can.
Does anyone else have any stories? Yeah.
My father's side is Indian, and Indian, like my family, but no, okay, Indian people generally, like we're huggers. So like my oldest brother, he's very standoffish, like he doesn't like people in his personal space. So like when we go to like family functions, like my uncles and aunts will go to him like, hi, and he's just like, hey. So like everybody thinks he's so rude. I mean, he doesn't care, but yeah,
exactly. I know. Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say, like, also, like, I know that in other cultures, like, maybe signs that we do with, like, gestures that could be offensive. Like, I know I don't remember exactly, but I know somewhere this is, like, not good.
Yeah.
We do this, or, like, you went like that to someone that's not good either. Like, just little things like that.
Yeah.
Could also mean a difference. Like, we're just saying thumbs up, and they're just taking it as, like,
exactly.
You know.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right. I learned this past summer when I did an internship in Costa Rica that it's like really rude to show up to meetings on time because you look like too eager and like way too like greedy. And like I was just sitting in the room that we were supposed to meet in for like 20 minutes, and then everyone showed up and they looked at me like, what is your problem, American? And then I also had problems. A lot of my American traits like get in the way when I'm abroad. I walk too fast for people and they're like not cool with it. I try and like eat lunch alone because like I like to eat lunch alone, and they all think that like I don't like them, and they like actually like cut me off after like 3 days of eating lunch alone. They're like, you're not gonna do that anymore. But little things like that can be taken in way different ways than we perceive them to be. So to get into the depth of which cultures fall under which categories, an anthropologist named Edward T. Hall did a bunch of studies to figure out which cultures fit into low context and which cultures fit into high context. Basically, low context cultures, that just means that there's low use of nonverbal messages. Personal space is a huge thing. We're a low context culture, along with most of Western Europe, excluding France, along with Australia. So you can see like Germany, Switzerland, the UK. We're all about speed and efficiency. We're not so much worried about the quality of work, but like when can you have it done. As well as conversation is very direct. Our messages are usually to the point. We don't really dilly-dally. We don't really waste our time. It's like, okay, this is what we need. This is when we need it by. And learning is also done best through direction and explanation, which I thought was pretty interesting as well. On the flip side, high context cultures involves mainly the Middle East, Latin America, and parts of Asia. So you can see Brazil's up there, Mexico, Japan, France actually fell into that category, which I thought was interesting because they fall with all the other neighbors who are low context. But basically you just remember that high context cultures use high use of nonverbal messages. So a lot of the facial expressions and gestures carry a lot of meaning for these specific cultures. The quality of work is actually valued more than the efficiency. They don't really care how quickly you get it done as long as you do a good job. Time is also a process, which I think is funny. There's no urgency. I also thought it was funny that space is communal, so everybody belongs wherever. I definitely saw plenty of examples of that in Latin America. And learning is also done best through observation as opposed to just being told what to do. It works better if they can actually see it. So when you do find yourself in cross-cultural interactions, the best pieces of advice that I can give you, first, if you know that you're going to be meeting some business executive from Japan, find out who he is, find out what his values are, and find out as much as you can about Japan, because it's only going to help you, it's not going to hurt you. It's best to know what their traditions are, if they, chit-chat before they talk about business, if they have tea when they talk about business, anything like that. That's all going to help you significantly in your business deals. The other thing I can tell you is observe. So keep in mind that when you do have these cross-cultural interactions, they're not people to be afraid of. Like, don't be super scared of offending them, like tiptoeing on eggshells. They're our friends, and if you're meeting with them, they obviously really are interested in you, interested in your business, right? So don't be afraid. Just notice what they're doing, and important to mirror it. One thing is that these people from these cultures, they won't really, they might be surprised if you initiate their specific traditional gestures, but they don't expect you to initiate anything. They definitely expect you to return their gestures that they give you. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Also, don't assume anything. So if I am meeting so-and-so from Brazil and I know that Brazilians usually give a little kiss on the cheek, I'm not going to do it unless he or she does it to me first, because I don't want to assume that that's okay with them I just know that generally it's okay with Brazilians. Nod your head when they're speaking to you, just to show that you're listening and that you're acknowledging their ideas. That's one simple way to show someone that you hear them, even if there's a language barrier and there's struggle through the communication. If you're just keeping eye contact, nodding, they know that they hear you and they know that you're focused on what they're saying. And the final thing is to have patience. Always have patience when you're dealing with people from other countries. So now we're going to practice. Does someone want to go ahead and read the first? I split it up into 3 areas. So the 3 areas we're going to practice are Western Europe, Asia, and Latin America. Does someone want to read the traditions for Western Europe?
North America and Western Europe utilize personal space, give a firm handshake, and keep eye contact.
Right. So we know this is a high context culture, or a low context culture, so they know that they don't really use nonverbal messages. They're all about their personal space and just being very direct to the point, eye contact. Do you guys want to practice that with your neighbor real quick? Sure.
Space here,
Yeah, you didn't give up for a while.
That's not fair.
My guys are too little.
Yeah.
Oh, not like that.
We're supposed to open each other too.
Yeah. Great stuff now.
I'm embarrassed because like bashful that you were just about to. Yeah, but I don't know. And then which makes it so weird.
We grow strong.
How did that one go? It's our culture as well, so we're kind of familiar with doing that. Anything difficult? No. All used to that. Okay, does someone want to read the traditions for Asia?
Give a light, soft handshake and bow slightly. Avoid direct eye contact, nod respectfully, and it is polite to greet the most elder person in the first.
Yeah. You want to? So I'm just going to give you a quick example of what this would be. As far as a handshake with a slight bow. I don't know. So you would like, okay? Yeah, okay, we're doing it. Yeah, it's all just like acknowledgement. Okay. Right. So not too much eye contact either. I found that in a lot of Asian cultures, they're not really into too much eye contact. They're also not too much into touching, other than just the initial handshake. Okay, so you.
Yeah, I just had a question. So if you're not supposed to make eye contact, what are you supposed to look at?
I would suppose look at their hand, and then obviously when you're talking to them, you can look at them briefly, but don't stay there because that might make them feel uncomfortable. So just not strong, like constantly communicating eye contact. Okay, you guys want to practice that with each other? I know you guys now.
It's really where you put your eyes, I guess, if you're gonna be down, you want to.
Yeah,
But
like,
you don't look down, yeah, avoid direct eye contact.
No, you're,
I know you're like, that would seem weird because us Americans, if it was like that, you think like, what else they're gonna be like, you're assaulting me.
They are.
It's weird. Because a lot of people probably, you know, they're from culture, they're gonna probably be nervous too, but you still, you don't wanna, the air.
Who else lower?
Because they're so uncomfortable. I mean, it's for us, it's don't offend them. Not comfortable, so it makes it harder for them to like.
The position of the bow doesn't determine like how domination. Like who bows lower? No, what do you call?
No, they like the handshake like a light handshake. Like an American, I wonder if the guys are like, what are they gonna think about?
The bow is just like strictly like Japanese and maybe India or like Thailand, I think. But like most of other Asian cultures are like China, half and half kind of. Yeah. I think it's so cute.
When do you stop?
Long lasting relationships.
How do we feel about that one? That one's harder. A little harder.
Yeah, long lasting relationships.
I was kind of you agree. I have a question for you. Do you think that like the way we greet people is like strange?
Yeah, it's weird. we don't have if we just very neat. If we shake hands, but we just do bow, and like sometimes we do like hey what's up, but like we don't tag each other, so it's weird for me.
Very touchy culture.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, no, really, yeah, it's weird because in England, my mom like is very like standoffish, like she's not very emotional, so she doesn't hug me often. That sounded bad, but like she loves me, but like she won't, like you know how you see on like TV, like oh I love you so much, like the parents of the child, like she's not like that. So like when she does hug me, I literally am like what do you want? Like so standoffish, but. I know she loves me.
Let's say, I think that knowing that we can't make eye contact is like a big thing for us too. I think that we get kind of nervous and they're like, well, where do we look now? Like, what do we do with our eyes? So it's a big
Me
thing.
too. I don't have like all the answers. I've actually never interacted with many people from Asia, but I assume that I would just like kind of look at them and then like go away. Okay, so the last one. Does someone want to read Latin America for us? Yeah.
Long-lasting handshake, close interaction, a lot of eye contact. For greeting women, a soft handshake and a kiss on the cheek.
Okay.
Exotic.
Excited. Okay, so we're gonna do man-to-man first. So just a long-lasting handshake. Okay, and if you want, so if you want, you can even touch their elbow. You can even touch their elbow. Okay. So that's man-to-man. And then if you're a man greeting a woman or woman to woman, you would just do a slight, just like that.
So cute.
And a lot of eye contact and like connect. So it's like woman to woman. And then I would be like, hi, how are you? Yes, I heard about your family. Okay. you know, all of that, like, just, I'm gonna talk to you here as opposed to talking to you here. Okay,
All up in your Christmas party.
yeah, all up in your Christmas party.
Oh my God, I hate that.
I'm not a girl.
Alright,
I'm
you
not
guys
girl.
wanna
Up in
practice
your
that one
girl.
real quick? About your durability? I know.
Had to see more words to get stuck in black.
Faith does that all the time.
I like it. It's
I like, yeah.
That's what I want home too, but I guess if I was like to talk or to go up to a random stranger that I don't know, I would rather have them understand it before I understand.
No, on that
And
level.
that's what you would do.
But I'll let
Okay, yeah.
Right. But if it was like a cultural norm for us, I feel like I'd be cool with it.
Yeah.
Like
I got my
everybody
family.
did here.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
It's just kind of fancy.
I feel like you meet like very good. That's what I like about it. Like, my friends came like for the first time, like they just took me in and like it's not like a handshake far away, like they pulled me in and gave me a kiss on both cheeks and I was like, I am here. I am in the family now.
You said friends, right?
What?
You said friends?
No, just his mom was from Honduras.
Oh,
So
okay.
they kissed on both cheeks, which I thought was odd because I believe we kiss on one.
I heard the French do that as well.
Both cheeks.
Yeah.
Daniel. Daniel.
Well, okay, I have good news for everyone. You all passed the training session. You're so international.